Good evening and welcome to Clarification Hour. So I'm here to just clear up some questions that some students are having. I want to say first of all, thank you for caring about doing this right. You know, you could easily blow this off and not care about the details, but it sounds like you do. So I want to make sure that you are understanding what's expected. So let me take you through a different example to see if this can help clarify for you. Okay, so we're going to start with, imagine we're only using the one book, Smoky Mountain Rose. And I'll just get right to the chase on that, I do, we do, you do. So imagine that I start with a Venn diagram that I've already completed, and then I go through the Venn diagram and I talk about what a Venn diagram is and how it compares and contrasts, and how we say how two things are different, so the bananas and the candy bar, and alike. And so they have that idea of what this graphic organizer is if they don't happen to know this one. Of course, you can use any graphic organizer you want. It doesn't have to be this, but this is the example I'm using. Okay, so I would begin with this because it will give them that idea of understanding it. Okay? Once I have done that and talked about the different points, then I'm going to get into the we do. And so once we've read this, I'm going to let them know that we are going to talk about comparing a couple of things. We're going to compare Rose at the beginning of the story and then Rose at the ball. So at the beginning of the story, we have all kinds of different ideas to think about. And we would do this together. And I would take ideas from the students. And we definitely need to make sure that our Venn diagram is clear and has a title and it has the different sections indicated here and definitely how they're the same in the middle. You'll want to figure out how many points that you want to get accomplished together. So I would start with calling on students and saying, okay, how was she at the beginning that's different than how she was at the ball? So some of the ideas might be, and I would write them down as the students say it, but one could be that she was dressed in rags, or she was doing chores, or there were people who were treating her badly and no one was treating her kindly. And I would say she was sad. On this side here, and again, this is doing with the students and working together, and when they run out of ideas, I'll prompt them like, well, tell me about her clothes at this one. Okay, she had the pretty dress at the ball, she had the glass slippers at the ball, she was happy at the ball, she was treated with respect by some people that were there, which is not what she was used to. Then we would get to how are they alike, and again, I really want to hear from the kids first, and as they get stuck, I'll give them a hint and prompt them, or we'll go back to the story to find the evidence. But I'm going through this quickly just to get to this point for you. All right, so how is she alike in both parts? Well, in both beginning of the story and at the ball, she was treated unkindly by the stepsisters. At both points of the story, she was kind to everyone. And also she was responsible. She took care of her chores at the beginning of the story, and she was also responsible to get home on time during the ball. So those are some points that would show how she's alike in both areas. So that would sum up the part where we did this together, and then we would go on to where they do it themselves. And I pulled this graphic organizer out of the packet that I gave out in class. And here I will have the students compare two different people from the story. So they can compare Rose and the stepsisters. And that's when they can talk more about the character traits and the personalities and that type of thing. It's a different comparison than what we have here. So the students would need to write Rose. They could choose one stepsister or both and just put stepsisters and then tell how they're alike, how they're different, and how they're the same. Now you have the option to, and that would be the end of that, okay? So that's it. But some options that you have with that is you can begin a Venn diagram, and that could be the we do, and have them finish it, and that could be the you do. That's just an option. Or you can do this all together and then have them do this all on their own. This is where you come up with your own teacher judgment on this to say, okay, I know these kids, they can handle it. But if you feel like they can't handle it, we need to do this one where I start it and they finish it, you can do it that way too. Another option is, if you want to give them a little bit more guidance, we have this also in the packet, and this is the sheet that has the Venn diagram that also has a sample above. And this is kind kind of nice if they had homework, for example, if this were your actual class, and they would have that example to take home with them to look at as they complete this. Another way to increase the rigor, you could give them a three-way diagram and have them compare three different people. It could be Rose, it could be Seb, and it could be the stepsisters, or two different stepsisters, and Liza, Jane, and Annie, and Rose. So you have options here, but as you can see, I stuck with a Venn diagram all the way through from I do, we do, you do, and then you have some options.